So information is basically by collecting the logs, collecting the data, you put your intelligence and creating some document. Okay. So that is costly. Like for example, the base that will be value for like crores. Understand? Like a formula for the product, Pepsi formula product, information. So information security, data security, the two securities are there. Weakness of what? Weakness of an asset. For example, you have a server. The server has a open ports. So through that open ports, there is no firewall in that. A hacker can easily attack the server, take the data. Understand? Now this weakness can be in different levels. Like it can be in policy level. The company policy has a weak policy, or it can be in the design level. Policy is strong, but when you design, the design is weak, or it can weak in the protocol level. For example, for remote access, the protocol is telnet. Protocol is good, design is good, all the protocol also best protocol you have selected. But top of that, when you are implementing, like configuring, you did mistakes. You didn't properly configure. You didn't disable some services. Services is nothing but applications, which is run by system.
Okay.
So what I am talking here is weaknesses. You can say like this: unnecessary services you are running.
Right.
Like for example, you are running HTTP service. You don't want HTTP. You can disable HTTP service. You can disable HTTP ports.
Okay.
So that service, when you disable HTTP service, nobody can log in through HTTP websites. Understand? So basically, when you go for a server, you see that what services the server is running, whichever is mandatory, use the servers and see what port it is using. Is it valid port? All these things you have to see. That is called a design. You have to check all these things. So the vulnerability can be in design policy level, design level. So design, if you want to write down like this, you can write down like services. Next, configuration, you do mistakes. Like for example, you know that you have to disable HTTP, but you didn't give the command. Which are the commands is not given, so you have to give the commands. Okay, that is configuration weakness. Finally, the user itself will have awareness. Basically, there is a tools available. You run the tool, right? The tool will tell what all the commands he can give, what all the commands you have to configure. Okay, for example, router, you take router, HTTP service is not available. You have to give a command called no HTTP server. There's a command you can give to disable HTTP service. See, we have designed it, but you're not configured it. Understand? So the tool will run this and tell this. See, this particular service is not enabled. Please give this command. Like that. One example.
Okay.
Then, for example, this is one thing like that. If you go for a real routers, there will be huge information will be there. Lot of recommendations. The tool will understand.
And what is the tool name which we used to run to identify the configurations?
No, that will come with the vendor itself. Like for example, Cisco means Cisco tool will be there. Whoever is the vendor, right? In that only they will give. With the vendor only they will give the tools. With the tool name I was using when I was the auditor, I was using something called I was forgetting that Cisco. There are, as I told you, there are tools are there for firewall, router, switches, everything. Or manually you have to, with your experience, you have to find out. Both are okay. But manually, never there. Why manually is not possible is there will be thousands of lines will be there in real devices.
Yeah. Right.
So sitting and finding out my one line is now hundreds of switches, hundreds of devices them is difficult. So what we do, we download all the configuration files, we'll put it in the tool and it will run that and give the report. That is generally we do in the audit. I can attack. I may have attacks, 100 attacks. But how many attacks is success? They downloaded the data. See, when you go and do an audit in the company, you cannot keep on telling there are so many attacks happening in the world. You cannot speak like that. See, for example, so if this is the live attack happening all over the world, same way you have to install one tool in that company. Okay, so that means not that. See, you may say that there is a new attack came, that attack came, ransom attack, this virus attack. You can keep on talking, but customer will not be happy. Customer will say, "What is happening in my company? Tell me." This is the threats, right? You know it's really happening. So if you buy Checkpoint, right, you can install this app, have this tool, and then this tool will show you the same thing. You can run that in the. Okay, so this is called what? Attacks, threats. Threats means what I told you, ongoing attacks, right? Next, risk. Risk is something like, see, there may be so many ongoing attacks will be there, but everything is having a risk. We cannot say that, okay, there are so many attacks are happening. Okay, it's happening here, but it's not impacting my business. So why I need to worry unnecessary, understand? In auditing, we do risk analysis matrix and we'll write lot of we call parameters we'll check and we'll come with a number. Like for example, out of 10, no, we'll say like low. Like for example, next week I'm going for a training to take data communications. I'm traveling. Okay, it's a corporate training in Chennai. Okay. So they already sent me a mail. They said in the compound I need to show this mail to the security.
Correct.
That is administrative control. Understand?
Yeah.
So like that, some administrative control has to be there. Then you have your technical controls. Then we must have physical controls. So that we don't know from where the attack happens, right? Can be physical also, you know. So we need to have all types of control. Okay. Like peer-to-peer, right? We use peer-to-peer, right? In wireless also we can do peer-to-peer. Something like this. Like you connect one mobile through Bluetooth, you connect another mobile, right? Next type, ad hoc mode is a very simple type. Okay. Next type, what I'm going to teach you is infrastructure mode. In infrastructure mode, there are two types is there. One is autonomous mode. WAP will be there. So what you have to do? You have to log into the WAP, like how you log into router and switches. No, like that you log into the WAP. You have to configure frequency you're going to use. You know, right? There are 2.4 frequencies there. 2.4 gigahertz is there. Then you can configure what band you are going to use. A lot of things like RF related things you have to configure, like what band, what channel, all you have to configure. You have to configure and you have to configure SSID also. SSID means name of the wireless, okay? Name of the WLAN. Then you have to configure some password also. So when you want to join to that WLAN, what you have to do? You have to select the SSID, then you ask a password, give the password, you can connect. Understood?
Yeah.
But autonomous mode is okay up to 10. How many? Maximum how much?
10.
10 wireless access point. But if it is more than 10 wireless access point, what Cisco recommend is don't use infrastructure mode, autonomous mode. Go to thin client. After getting registered, you need to log into WLC and configure all the WAPs from the WLC itself. You don't need to go to individually, you don't need to go to one WAP. In thin client mode, we have two components, WLC and WAP. So all WLCs will register to all WAP will register to WLC.
So I'm getting confused. So basically now for WAP, you said it should be maximum 10, right?
Yes. For autonomous mode.
Acha. But if it is on
more than 10 WAP, okay. I will draw and show you.
Yes, please.
Okay, let me draw and show you. Cisco, there is a wireless network card, network interface card. It is sending RF signal. Here also there is an antenna. It is sending RF signal, right? Right. Now they all are through RF. They are sending. Now it will be SSID will be. You have to give the SSID and password. Then you can connect to the network. Understand?
For the AP.
AP will send to the SSID. For example, in your mobile, you will get the name of the wireless, right? WLAN. You have to select that, class the password, give the password, and then you connect to this AP. Right?
So this AP would be AP. So SSID would be of AP or would be of the wireless device?
What is wireless device? Can you tell me? There are only two devices, right?
Right.
One is controller, one is wireless access point, right?
Acha, controller. I mean to controller. I mean, I'm referring to controller. So SSID would be of.
No. Okay. Whatever it is, controller is to control, but connecting to where? Connecting to
AP, right?
Okay. Understood? Got it, right?
Yeah.
It's connecting to AP only. Controller is to control, configure. Controller is not going to connect. So where your wireless clients are connecting, configure, not to, nothing is happening. You are going to configure.
Right.
So what the controller is doing is centrally. Now I'm configuring it. That's all. I'm not saying I will do. Controller will do AP work. AP will do AP work only. Okay. So now instead of going to each and every day AP, right? What I will do, log into the controller. From the controller, I will configure all the APs. So now it is clear now. Yeah. Tell me.
One question. So basically, if we are managing from the controller, so if request is going to AP via controller, I mean, is
no, not request.
I mean the access.
You are configuring the AP configuration manually. You can go to individually. You can go to every AP and configure. Okay.
Okay.
It is a configuration tool, configuration device. There is no related to the data communication. Data will go to AP only.
Okay.
Now, see, for example, let's say I'm drawing this diagram. For example, there is an internet, right? Now there is a user. This PC1 is there now. You want to go to internet, right? So first he'll go to office. He'll select the SSID, give the password. He will come to connected. Then the data will go. How data will go? Data will go from PC1 to
AP.
Understand? PC1 to AP to where it will go. Now I want to configure in 15, 20 route 20 APs. Okay, for example, I will log in controller. I will just configure. I can change the SSID. I can change the password. I can change everything here. So it is not going. It is nothing related to the data communication.
Achha, what
data communication is?
I mean, is it required or I mean just? I mean, if
see,
it is not there,
depends on the customer requirement. It is okay. If customer says I can't lose the data, I need a. Depends on the customer requirement. It is nothing like mandatory because there will be wired and wireless. So you connect wireless for a particular reason. What I generally do is I will configure 2-3 APs whenever there is a CEO room or main conference rooms, right? There you can keep redundancy. Rest all we don't need to put redundancy. I am deciding which server will do which service. Understand? My S2 is DNS and AAA. So I am going to use DHCP here. This is your standard, like 10.100 config. Router is gigabit is there. For gigabit that is 10.1. I am going to use DHCP for this. Okay. What I need to do? I need to go to desktop, discover, offer, request, acknowledgement. Like 4 steps is there. It will send a discover packet. Okay. It will ask, sir, anybody DHCP server is there? Can you give me an offer? You know, it will ask. So if you get the offer right, it will verify the offer and acknowledge the offer. So this process is the DORA. Okay. So this DORA process will run and you will get the IPs configured in this. Okay. Now I don't have any DHCP server in this, right? First I need to configure DHCP server. So I'll go to S1. I'll maximize this. See, understand here. Whenever you want to configure anything, first you have to configure the server, right? Service has to be there, no?
Yes.
See, there is services here. See the services here. And what address I'm going to configure? I'm going to configure from 21. What address I'm going to configure? From 21, I'm going to configure. Understood? How many addresses I'll configure? I can go 100 addresses. How many? 100 addresses I can configure maximum. You will manually have to configure some IPs permanently. You cannot change that, like router IP, server IPs. No, that all fixed. So that's why we are reserving some 20 addresses. The first offer DHCP server will give is 10.21. I save this. Now you see this, right? Server pool, default gateway is 10.1. DHCP server 10.4. Start IP is 21. Start IP. It will go 21, 22, 23. Like that, 100 IPs it will go. How many IPs will give?
100 IPs.
And there is no data. In this topology, you don't have WLC. If you want, you can give WLCs also. Details also. It's not a permanently, it will not give, because if you take the IP address and go somewhere home, the other company, other branch, right, the IP address will be wasted, So one day it will give, next day it will check. If you request next day, if you join again, it will again retain the same address. If you don't request for 2-3 days, the address will be released.
So what if DHCP IPs is extended more than 100? How you will get to understand if is exceeding and
See, you are the administrator. You must know how many computers are there in your company. How many DHCP requests will come. Based on that, you have to design. DNS is domain name service.
I mean, so DHCP is assigning the IPs to everyone, right?
Yeah. No. DNS is a server.
Acha. Okay.
I'm talking about endpoint.
Acha.
The server will not configure DHCP. Server is a static.
Oh, okay.
Because daily you cannot change the server IP address. That's the problem.
Correct.
Server, router, switches, no. That's why I am starting from 21. You understand?
Starting at 20 days
also, right? But 1, 2, 3 are given to routers and servers.
Right.
I added a record. Like if you go to real DNS servers, google.com, yahoo.com, for all the domain names, there will be IP address. Okay. So when you go to PC now, in the browser, if you go to browser and type this DNS server is having the record. What record? A record, right?
Right.
Home.com is in 10.5. Understood? So what he said, reply he gave was, you go to 10.5. Where you want to go?
So in DNS, in DNS, we need to add all the IPs. I mean,
not IP, domain name and records. Yes. I can give any server. I'm just keeping that. Okay, the service has to be started. That's all. Okay. Now I have configured NTP. NTP is getting authenticated. It will take some time, as I told you. Send a message, like for example, ping 192.168.10.5. Then configure terminal NTP authenticate. Okay. And for 10.43, date is 20. Correct, July 20. Yeah. I'll go to the router and say, boss, this log is coming, right? I want to store this log on server remotely.
Manually update the NTP in the machine. Next day it will auto. Next day again I need to manually update, or it will continues next day. After restarting the machine.
Once you do it, so it is not recommended. Any company, even the big firewall will not allow. Firewall will ask NTP server. If NTP server, you cannot configure firewall.